Thanks everybody for being here and for joining us in this, what it's meant to be more like a work product sessions more than a public meeting. And I will start with tell a bit the background of the story of the Making It Work, we'll say initiative or project. So we know this image that reflects the fragility, vulnerability of the planet, and that at some point initiated the environmental movement. But we have to admit that since then we have not been really good at commanding spaceship Earth. And in fact, this vulnerability of the planet is only growing, as we know that 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries are already exceeded, which means that we're in a situation with the environment that we know that has sustained human life as we know it may not be able to regulate anymore. We also are getting used to seeing every year becoming the hottest on record, and that's kind of a new normal in our lives. And also even we see new typologies of spaces as cooling centers, which talk about the consequences of this climate emergency in terms of heat waves, extreme rainfall, drought, wildfires, that show us the huge link between planetary health and human health. Of course, these conditions are reaching high-profile policy issues, like, for example, the recently announced project by the White House about creating a climate corps that could bring around 20,000 young people to work on ecological restoration tasks, on climate adaptation tasks. And in Europe, we have the European Green Deal, which talks about this connection between health, environmental well-being, and the need to protect nature. Well, this biodiversity strategy or the Green Deal actually is calling cities, European cities above 20,000 inhabitants, to develop what they call urban green plans. Yeah. But some of these well, big ambitions and dreams of policy clash with the day-to-day realization of how sometimes things are going in our cities, in which trees are deemed as something that can be replaced easily in processes of urban transformation, and all trees especially get felled quite often. And in a way, trees are treated as urban furniture, and although we are told that all trees felled, new ones will be replaced by young seedlings will replace them. And research says that in some cases, harsh conditions for the environment actually don't support that these trees will grow old. And we know also that it's all trees that have the bigger benefits. They are the ones who capture most carbon, and the ones that have a bigger effect on human health. The other side of the coin of the biodiversity strategy, and also the way they need to think about reconnecting to nature, is the question of the economy. We know this diagram that talks about there's no economy without biosphere, and indeed for the European Commission is a lot about finding a new model of growth, economic growth, that is based on what we call a green economy. So the idea of reconciling the economy with the planet. And indeed, there is research that tells that there could be a business case for ecological restoration and economy, that protected ecosystems could actually drive economic growth, and that you could invent new jobs out of that task of protecting or creating green infrastructure and nature-based solutions. Some of these jobs, you can see in the list, they go for plant production, to biomass production, but also things like innovative technology for sensing or tracking forests. And that's important because in the context of the leaving carbon behind, there's also the risk that many people will be left behind that economy. So therefore, there's an urgency to think about a way to bring some justice to transition and find new jobs for that mass population. So making green work tries to make this connection between these elements of how can we account for considering that you need more than human health to provide human health, and that there is a need to develop some sort of guidance and mobilizing capacity in different sectors to make that making it work, because municipalities have done they lack the capacity to actually innovate or develop new ways of managing green infrastructure in a way that, for example, could have economic spillovers or could empower communities to take more initiative in the way green is being cared for. So, and we see this kind of three dimensions connecting these three corners of the triangle. On the one hand, there is a need to bring design. So how do we design landscapes and urban configurations in a way that they could create conditions for new economies to emerge? How do we value green care as an economy as well? That is not anymore dependent on volunteering, as maybe now, but actually it's a way to have a livelihood, and how that also can create a new way of environmental justice. So it's about, and that's why you're in this faculty, I feel it's about design. It's about designing places that encourage work. It's about designing policies that support inclusive employment and human health, and also about designing work, new types of work, and the spaces without change. All of that to kind of support this connection between human health and planetary health. We making work started first with a joint application between Madrid and some other partners, which we didn't get. It was 3 or 4 years ago. But since then, we have continued the work different ways. And the first one is to understand the, let's say, policy and organizational field of urban greening, and to understand what is the socio-technical context, institutional context of urban greening, especially in the context, especially addressing innovative approaches to urban greening, to understand which are barriers, opportunities that could facilitate innovation. Also, in terms of education in this faculty, the students are in urban science studios. We are emphasizing a way of doing urban design which accounts for non-human life as well. So how do you design public space, and especially the green design of the cross-section, to account for the needs of trees and woods and their growth? Also via independent study of some students on speculating on the idea of productive urban greening. In this case, for example, in the nexus between urban design and food systems and ecological restoration, in the case of Albere, by the way, in Pampus. And this one, which is about how, in the context of the need for more biomaterials, such as timber for construction, how could we imagine a model of urbanization which should account for the production of timber, considering the time that it takes for wood to grow, and develop a model of urbanization that kind of accounts for that logistical change, associated jobs, and process of growth. And And the fourth initiative has been this collaboration with São Paulo and Insper, supported by the Spring Fund for Exchange between São Paulo and Delft, which put a high emphasis on the question of health. And this seminar is the kind of the follow-up of one we organized in São Paulo in past September. In this seminar, as you can see a bit for the titles of the presentations, there was a bigger emphasis on the presentation of evidence that on the benefits of organizing for health. And today's seminar goes a step further in the sense of that we aim to go from the big picture of health and the planetary health, the non-human health, towards let's say specific places and bodies. So going to a micro scale, showing projects, initiatives, and that can tell us or kind of shed some light on the question of making living work. So actually in practice, how different actors have strived and tried to introduce innovation that connects green with health, but also with innovative forms of management and even of job creation. And I will leave now the floor to Diti, who will be moderating the first panel. And thanks everybody, and I hope for a very fruitful day of exchange.